Tonight I'm going to show you how to detail 4 of 24, which is this item. We've already modeled it. There's another video that was done on modeling this item. The keyway's in there. The hole is in there. The only thing missing is the slot, little slot on the side over here. And I'm going to ignore the fact that I missed it. And we're going to say, yeah, you know what? We could add it later. Okay? Just for the sake of conversation. So in order to turn this into a detail drawing, I go to File, Make Drawing From. And then I jump into Landscape. A size is fine. ANSI, this is an inch drawing, so it's an ANSI standards. We're going to hit OK. The neat part is I can go ahead over here on the side. Let me reposition this a little bit. Over here on the side, the little tabs are there. And I've got my views where I could drag them in. I can start with this, which I will. I'm going to drag in my primary view, which is the view that has the most elements in it. And that's all I'm going to drag in. I'm not impressed with any of the isometric views that it wants to offer me, so I'm going to ignore that for a little bit. Remember how to fix this drawing, because what's the number one problem we have with the default detail drawings out of Solidworks? Yeah, the border. Boy, that title block on that border owns that entire sheet of paper. That is a monster title block. So the first order of business is to clean it. So when we go to Edit Sheet Format, we can strip it of all this extra stuff so that we can actually have some space that we can use. Normally at a company, you're going to have that already. Someone has customized it. Okay, we're not the first ones that noticed the monster title block. Okay, we won't be the last. Easy enough to clean up. That's done. There, now we have some real estate to work with here. Okay, remember also in sheet format, if I want to go into the properties of my sheet, so that you've got first and third angle, remember that. That's right out of engineering graphics class, the different class that most of you have taken. Zone perimeters, that's this outer space area over here where I've got the A, B, 1, 2, get the quadrant locations. If I want to talk to somebody, I can add to that. I can have 3 of them. I hit 3, I hit apply. So now I've got 3 ABC. Okay, it's up to you what you do. When you do that though, you have to appreciate, you know, what am I going to set it to? I'll set it to 2 instead. You're going to appreciate that it's got all these extra parameters that you want to include. Margins, your margins are set predominantly by whatever your printer works with, so you end up making a custom everything in the real world for this thing, because their default ones are probably not ideal for what you're doing. I'm going to leave everything else alone, because this is a lot of lost real estate. This ½ inch there, that's a lot of lost real estate. You're losing an inch of space to draw in. At least we modified that title block to be a little smaller. So here you have your view, and from this one view, now is the view small? It's a little small, isn't it? So let's go ahead and change the scale. Nope, not the format. Now you'd think to go to format, and I agree. Edit sheet format is not where your scale is. Properties is where your scale is. Go figure. Not my call. If I go 1 to 1, I think that's a little too big. That nothing else will fit on this drawing. So instead I'm going to go maybe 3/4. ½ inch was too small. 3/4 might be too big. We'll find out. Maybe it'll work. We'll find out. We don't know quite yet. So the next thing I want to do is a different type of sectional view. We have up to date the poor use of language, which I'm not going to get into, using the word half section, because this really is versus the language over here. So some of this is a little frustrating how it's showing it. And the way the arrows appear. I can't fix those things. It's the way Solidworks does it.
Do you want to turn on your hidden lines first?
Oh, yes, yes. That's the other thing that we're gifted with. When you pick the views, the default is not to show hidden lines. So you have to make sure that you have that on. You are correct. Thank you for remembering that. Make sure to turn hidden lines on. But in case you forgot, let's just, for the sake of argument, if you did forget, if I go to project view, and you have this view, and you say, gosh, that looks really good. It's nice and clean. None of that clutter is in there, those darn pesky hidden lines. Your drawing is wrong if you leave it like this and hand it to me. I guarantee you. You actually have to have hidden lines on. They're not clutter, they're necessary. So you turn them on. But I did it to the primary view, so it does it to all the views. So thanks for that catch. You are. The primary view is the first view you brought in. That's literally. And generally speaking, in the world of engineering graphics, the primary view should be the view that has the most features in it. And this view, and yes, are there times where I could argue which one is the primary view? You bet. And I've had those arguments, by the way, and it's okay. That's when you agree to disagree. In this case, I picked the top view because I see the basic geometry, the shape, the footprint of the object is much more visible in this view than in other views. That's why I selected this view. Off of this view, when I go back to section, you're going to see that there are different types of sections. Cut line, horizontal, this is vertical. Then there's something called auxiliary, and then aligned. This is the one you're doing today, aligned. Aligned is where you have the center reference. You see how then you reference this leg, and then this leg is referenced to this side. When you hit OK and you drag this down, or you drag it, well, it's dragging it down. If I flip directions, it'll drag it the other way. See that? It doesn't switch. If I move this up or down, I have to flip here. It doesn't flip directions because I move up or down. In the different software package it does. In this one it does not. A different CAD product. So you'll notice the frustration you're going to have. If you flip it this way, which looks logical, what are you missing in that sectional view? The hole. So if you flip it so you show the other side, now what is it? Yep, it's upside down. So either way, you are doomed. This product will not show it to you the way you might want to look at it. Get it? So you have to appreciate that it's not going to be necessarily in the most logical orientation to what you want to see. So what some people have chosen to do, instead of doing a rotated sectional view, which is what that is, not a line sectional view where it opens it up flat. Some people have said, no, I'm done with this. I want to have a sectional view that is only of this element right here, where I just see this. See that? It still doesn't look great. Welcome. But it might be better than nothing. Because some people insist on that. Okay? And then they'll have this guy you can actually, you see how it's auxiliaried out? It's projected in partnership with what you're projecting from. That annoys some people. And that will be a messy, you can fix it. You actually can break. See that alignment here? You can go ahead and break it. Okay, and then I can actually rotate this thing. That's a lot of extra work, by the way. Yours truly is not that interested in that much work, by the way. Okay? So I wouldn't recommend this. I would accept the reality that when you do the aligned sectional view, you are going to have to make a, whoops, wrong center. Excuse me for that one. You're going to have to make a decision how you want to show your object. Do you want to show it this way? Okay. If you show it the other way, you're losing the whole. So I do recommend that you do it the other way. And you actually flip it. So you see the actual hole. Either way, you're missing the key. Because the other way doesn't make the key look any better. The keyway, all the information on the keyway, to be honest, is up here. Because if I go ahead, I'm going to say okay to this real quick. If I go ahead and go to annotation, go to model items, and import items into all views, make sure I pick all my little features, whatever they are, my whole reference information. If I hit OK, it'll drop all the dimensions and all that geometry. Remember all that effort I took in making sure that I had those dimensions in here? This is where you can pat yourself on the back that you took that effort, because guess what it does? It all appears in your detail drawing. Yes? Bring back? They are there. What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about, okay, hang tight. Here, when you go into model items, you pick them all, but you'll find out that this one toggles with this one. That's from the previous lecture. If I click on that one, that turns off. If I click on this one, the other one turns off. And I don't know why, that's what it does. If you had some annotations in your drawing, like well details, symbols, and all that, you could include that. We didn't, so I didn't. And any reference geometry, hypothetically speaking, let's say you wanted all your planes to appear, which would be relatively annoying, but you can do that. You could turn them on too. I don't turn the rest on. But when I hit, I went too far back, didn't I? Oh well. When I pick this object and I hit OK, I'll get no model items are inserted. Choose yes to change import from option to entire model, because I forgot to pick that. So instead of selected features, let me do that again. You can intentionally say entire model. It's smart enough to know that you want to do the entire model. So that's why that warning will appear when you don't select it. But now you have your notes. See that? Because I use the hole wizard, I literally have my notes that say diameter 1.06 through all. See that? That's because I used the hole wizard. If I intentionally made a circle, drew a circle like I took, let's say, the AutoCAD approach, drew my circle and then extrude cut it, I won't get that. I won't get that note that way. Just like that 8-degree business, you see how it came out correctly? That's because of how I put it in my model. In my model, I put it in that way, so that's how I get it here. There's a direct uno to uno, one-to-one relationship. What I do in my model directly reflects in my detail drawing. My 1.18 dimension was in my model, so therefore it's in my detail drawing. Get it? Everything I put in my model is in my detail drawing. Everything I put in my model is in my detail drawing. What did I say? I forgot. I forgot again. If I had a parrot, it would say a bunch of things, including what I just said. Everything in my model is in my detail drawing. We'll just repeat it over and over and over again. These are literally all the dimensions I use there. So that 30 what is it, the offset that I used of 1/8 of an inch for this, it's in there. Everything is in there. Because if that's these are all driving dimensions. They're not driven. These are drivers. So if I change this 3 to something else, it'll literally change my model. I'm going to make it 5 just to prove the point. Now you see? Nothing up my sleeves. Watch what happens. I hit OK. Everything goes little hatchy. You see this hatchy looking thing? When I update this using my traffic lights, as I like to call it, boom. It literally changed my model. So these are all driving dimensions. If I change it to 3, I hit OK. Update my model, my detail drawing, it updates my model. Now it's a shorter piece.
Talking about on the model space when it says a given dimension.
That's a reference dimension. In here, you can make driven dimensions. Like these are driven. So this, the diameter 5, 6, those are driven. You see what color they are? They're gray. They came from the model, they're referenced, but because of the way the whole wizard works, I can't drive that feature here. I have to go into here and modify it. So when I'm in here, let me see if I can do this. There we go. If I put my model, sorry, didn't mean to do that. I think I have to open another session of Solidworks to make this happen. To show my model and my detail drawing next to each other. Yeah, I'm not going to be, I don't think I can show them unless I open up another session. So the dimensions you see in here directly come out of how I modeled my part, is what I'm trying to say. So if I go over here and show you this view, all that time I spent to make this keyway, when I made this cutout, for example, see all that effort I put in there? All that geometry, the constraints, the 30 degrees, the 1/8 of an inch, the 1/8 of an inch, the 1.18, directly translates here. There's the 1/8 of an inch, the 1/8 of an inch, the 30 degrees, the 1.18.
Let's say you made a mistake on the model geometry.
It reflects here. Yep. Whatever mistakes you made in your model, we all get to see it here. That's why the true test for you will be when I see your detail drawings. Because that's when all your mistakes will be visible. If I made this 1 point some other number, it'll be here visible. Okay? If I didn't use 45 degrees. Now here's a cool one. Watch this. This one I like. See how it's 45 degrees. The whole thing is set to 45 degrees. The entire thing. Let me change it to 15. Completely clocked over. The whole thing. Now the only reason this was so easy, so don't you remember the conversation we had about that hole in the side of the part?
Yeah.
That's 30 degrees. If I did it the other way, if I didn't attach it to the planes of the object, this would fail. But when we put this plane in here, it was in correlation to the center of this circle. That's the only reason this worked. If it was separate, like somewhere else, it would fail. So, but this worked out beautiful. Only because of, I changed 15 to 75. Now this one might fit. Let's try. I said 75 degrees. We'll see. Ooh, nope, didn't fail. Isn't that beautiful? The whole thing just clocked over. This stayed at what's interesting here is that literally stayed at 30 degrees. Let's clock this back to 45. This piece kept staying where it is though. If it was the other way, well, this will be a good experiment. Watch this, guys. Remember how I did the side hole 2 different ways? the one method, and here's the other method. This one was, let's see, where's that one? This is using the sketch. So there are actually two methods, two holes in here. So let me hit save on this real quick. Now if we look at the model, look at the detail drawing. Here's the detail drawing, there's the hole. Now for fun, I'm going to change this to 75 degrees again. The hole stayed. It stayed relative to that position. It didn't relocate. 15 degrees. Stayed. Now 30. What is it really? 45? Just keep rotating it. See that? So, and yeah, I am controlling the model from the detail drawing because I dropped in my model items for dimensions. That's the key. And you want that. If you manually drop in dimensions, like let's say I took that 2.875 out and dropped in a dimension from here to here, this guy, that's still the same number, 2.875, but when I double click on it, it's just a number. It's a dud. That's a reference dimension. So if I see a drawing from you with a lot of gray things on it, I know those are all reference dimensions. They're not real. Meaning they're not model items. They didn't come from the model. Okay? Now cleaning this up is another conversation. Because this is going to be tedious. You have to take your time and clean up the drawing. There's no way around it. This is just takes time and patience. In some dimensions, you find that maybe you don't want in there. You get rid of them. Okay? So this part of it is tedious, but that's just a necessary side of detailing. Once all the dimensions are in that you could bring in from your model, the rest of the job is just double checking that everything's in there and it's clear and visible and legible, that somebody can understand it. Which means the scale might have to change if we find that the drawing is too big after we put in everything. Like if I put the sectional view back in, like this I can already start telling we're going to have some problems. But what can we do? Do we need to put the dimensions of the keyway here? Or can we do something? Are there any solutions? I can put a center line in here. That doesn't fix the problem. But are there any solutions? What can I do? Yes, you're absolutely right. And we did that last time. We can do a detail view of this off on the side. Maybe not so large. Tighten it up a bit. Focusing in just on this. See that? And then you could assign your dimensions to this. You can shorten everything up, get it out of the way. So the dimensions that you want to talk about related to that item can be here in this detail. So now when I go to annotation model items, and I don't want to import into all views. This is where you have to be a little choosy. I only want to import selected features right here, in here. See that? When I do that, then that's what I get. I get only that information in there. But you'll notice, what did it do over here? The 1.18 it threw in the other view. So I got to delete that dimension before I can bring it into this view. Remember that. So if I go back to model items, I don't want to select into all views. I want to select only here. Bingo. See that? Selected features. So I can bring in that missing element. I still am missing a center line, so I will have to draw that in there. Now the angle is missing in here too. It's not perfect, I'll tell you that. It is still a challenging view to look at. A diameter I might be able to leave in the other drawing. Maybe. See that? Now it's a function of you deciding what you want to keep and how you want to work this drawing. So this is where all the real work goes, the detail work. Devil's in the details and we live with the devil. Remember that. In the world of engineering graphics, that's what we do. It's all about the details. Okay? Now you'll notice the 1.06 through all is in both views. I don't want it in both views. Anything else? What do you think? This is in here. This is out here. We've got this. We're missing center lines. We got to throw that back in. I accidentally deleted the one. This guy. You're right. They're not. You're talking about the little side dude, right? Yeah, that's not in there. So that has to be incorporated in here somehow, some way. Say again? This guy's not identified though. So we do need that view. We got to go back to sectional view. This guy. We will need this view. And yeah, it is upside down, people. Yes, it is upside down. Yes, it is upside down. Get over it. Sorry. Uh-huh. Yes, that is frustrating. You can't actually dimension it in this view, though. That's the truly annoying part. If I select this entire thing, well, I guess I should be able to select the whole thing. Alright, maybe not. So I'm clicking the heck out of it, so it gives me all the features. When I hit OK, I got my dimensions, slowly, but surely. There we go. See that? You gotta relocate them, make sure they're not going in the wrong way. Remember that, to snap it back and forth, okay? The little things. What is that dimension of? That's this thing. Yep, it is. So you gotta pull these all the way out, the little grips, so they're attached apart correctly. This will be in here. This can be in there. Snap that over. See that? This belongs on this side, which means you got to pull this over. Snap it over. See that? Ooh, I don't like the fact that that's all the way through there, so that has to get pulled back. Now it is snapping to the default settings. Remember to get those set. The default settings of the dimensioning tool. This popped in again. If it pops in on this side, get rid of it on this side. Alright? So you see how tedious it is? It's okay. This is the nature of detailing, guys. Accept it. This is what you have to do. The last thing, if you wanted to do anything, was maybe throw in a projected view of something, like this guy. Something that makes it... You're trying to find the best face of the part, which is really difficult to do sometimes.
That's it.
Nah, not really. Because you want to see that hole. So there isn't a clean... Let's try. Maybe that view? When you look at this view, obviously the presentation is awful, so you want to send it. I don't like it. Maybe that view might be a reasonable facsimile of it. I don't know. Yeah, you see the keyhole and you see the hole. What's the other thing you notice? What did I forget? What did I forget? I didn't finish. I didn't forget the keyway. It's right there. But what did I forget? The 30 degrees for the keyway. You're talking about the dimensions. What features am I? Yes, you're correct. You're 100% correct. I agree with you. Yeah, I'm missing the slot. Ah, gosh darn it, gee willikers. Does that mean I gotta redo my detail drawing? Nope. You got it. I'll just go ahead and create a new sketch. Go normal 2 on that view. Yes, there's more than one way to jump through normal 2. I'm using this method, but what's the other method? If I'm in isometric, I can do a Control 8. Use my keyboards. Yes. Remember that, please. I can go ahead and create a shape. What's the size? I forgot, guys. Oh, it's annoying dimensions. 092. Jeez. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type in .092 just to be obnoxious. I'm going to relocate this thing. And of all things, dimension it from one of the sidelines to the center. Click here. I'm going to pick 092, but I have to intentionally remember divide by 2. See that? Why did I do that? Because I didn't want to do the math. Whoops. Okay, let me get back to that primary view. Alright, now to lock this element in, I'll pick this line. Whoops, I'm still in dimensional. Pick this, Control key, pick my arc, make a tangent. I cannot do that with the inside line because as we know, the tangency, that means that little shape will be on the inside. So to avoid that problem, of all things, I'm going to pick my inner diameter on that side, hold my Control key down, pick my point, and make it coincident. See that? It's hard to see it in here because the graphics doesn't show it to you. But this point is attached to the inside of my curve, which means it will cut all the way through. To prove the point, I'll go ahead and extrude cut it, and I'll say through all, and hit OK, and it's sliced all the way through. Okay? Can't make a tangent, otherwise it'll be inside and you'll end up with a sliver sitting in there. You can test it yourself and you'll see what I mean. So I put it in here, go ahead and hit save. My detail drawing updates itself. It is a beautiful thing.
You have to select the good dimension.
Yes, that part it does not do automatically. There is a way that you could do it in your pre-settings. You're like, let's say you bought SolidWorks and you have it in your house. Here in the classroom, I literally have this set up out of the box with no modifications. I did that intentionally. That forces you to fix everything. Once you preset it, though, if you do it at home and you could actually preset everything, then that's it. It'll always do it that way. So when you insert the model, it'll input all the model dimensions automatically. You could do that kind of stuff up front. Here, I have you working the hard way. Because I need you to learn how to do that. That's the only reason. So yes, now I got to go to annotate model items. I select my elements and poof, there we go. This is annoying to dimension. It's just a very challenging little part. Now, I forgot, and you'll have to remind me, how do I, we don't want it to say section EE. That's because that just shows you how many times I went and sectioned it. I forgot how to fix that. If I click on it, which I did, when you look to the left side, what do you see? Yep, I can change it to A. When I hit enter, or OK it, boom, that updated. But it did not update detail D. When you double click on detail D, how does that one get fixed? Do I fix it there or do I double click here? See? Details don't work the same way. You notice that? They don't behave the same way. I single click on it and then I can modify it. Could be. They don't remember to go sequential order. Like if I fix one, the rest don't cascade fix themselves. Get it? You have to manually fix each one. This one's off on the side. Now, there are dimensions missing on here, and there's a lot of legwork that you're going to have to do to correct, to finish detailing this drawing. But there's your basic setup of how you would do it. And this, the whole point of this lecture is to show you rotated sectional view. Okay, remind you, oh, by the way, see this is locked into its center? Teach you how to break a sectional view, because this one you will want to break it. Alignment, break alignment. You want to be able to move this over a bit, have a little freedom of where you locate this. Cool? You want that. I will question, do we want to make this, yeah, we could still get this on A-size paper, it's just going to be a really small drawing. You want it on B-size? It's a pretty large part with a lot of details. So this is probably the only one I would say, yeah, let's do it in B-size. Now the question is, I forgot how to do that. Y'all help me with that? How do I fix that? Sheet format. Right mouse button, properties. The landscape. If I choose this approach, what do you think is going to drop in? Just. Yeah, the massive own the whole drawing title block. So no, I don't want to use this method. I have the title block I want. I really don't want to import that monster one because then I got to fix it. Sheet format. Right mouse button. Edit sheet format. Nah. Sheet, right mouse button. Properties. Takes me back here. Cancel. But if I open this up, open up my sheet format, I really don't have any, I have the ability to tweak everything here. But when I right mouse button, I've got edit sheet format, display grid, which is really annoying, please don't do it. Edit sheet format, which is literally the title block and everything. I've got, that's my details. Lock sheet focus, add a sheet, copy, delete, properties. I don't have a lot of choices. If I go up to sheet, right mouse button, I wonder if I have any better choices here. Properties in here still takes me here. I don't seem to have, like, next view label, by the way, that's where you fix that. What was the C? That'll fix that. Name is sheet 1, standard sheet size. I only have the choices of these. I can't change my sheet separate of my border unless I created a template of my sheet, which I didn't, because I didn't teach you guys how to do that yet. You can on your own. All you do is save it as a template. So, gosh darn it, gee willikers. Do I have a clean fix? Other than the original conversation, which is sheet, right mouse button, properties, landscape, yep, light change, yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead. So it drops it in, left the scale the same, didn't change the scale of my views. But now I have the opportunity to do what? I can change the scale. If I go ahead and change the scale of my primary view, how do I change the scale? I forgot. Sheet format, right mouse button, whoops. Sheet format, sheet, right mouse button, properties. Sheet scale 101. This is the best way to do it. Apply the change. That updates all my views. This guy does not have to be 101. That one we're going to say use a custom scale. Half scale. But yes, am I stuck having to fix the title, the massive own the page? This guy? Yeah, you're stuck fixing that. The software product does not give you a good solution for updating the sheet without forcing you to do all this other stuff. All right? Sorry about that. Yeah, if you can think about it. But you know what? The reverse will happen. Let's say you start in B and realize you should have been in A. I've had students do that. Because the default sheet, if they're not paying attention, some people will pick a C size or a B size and not think about it. And then I'm looking at the printed drawing saying, I can't see any of these dimensions because if I print a C size on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, all of the dimension heights, everything is correlated to printing on a C size sheet of paper, not on an A size. So everything is miniaturized and you can't see anything. So I've had students suffer through the opposite. If you can plan it out a little better, oh God, yeah, sure, do it. Then you won't have the issue to begin with. And that's what I teach in the engineering graphics class. I teach them how to plan out what they're going to draw before they start. That way they can minimize this hemming and hawing back and forth on scale and everything else. Cool?
Question. If you were to create a template, would you be able to use that template universally, or would each size paper have to have it?
You could, no, you'd create one for each size.
Okay.
Realistically, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
An A-size template, a B-size template, a C-size template, yes.
Okay.
In other software packages, you don't. So it depends on the software package. Some are a little more flexible. And I would leave them nameless. Needless to say, Solidworks still has a lot to learn when it comes to detailing. That's my 10 cents. Taking a critical analysis of these software packages, because I teach them all. I see what the weaknesses of each package, and each one has a weakness. That's why they all exist. Inventor exists for a reason. SolidWorks exists for a reason. They all have their strengths and they all have their weaknesses. Some are minor, but some are major. Depends on what your company does. Cool? And that will end this lecture. Somebody